Hey up guys, so today on the channel I'm going to be discussing the latest addition to the Scream franchise. That's right, Scream 6, which is once again directed by the chaps that directed the previous Scream movie. It was called Scream 5, but they branded it as Scream, because it was kind of a reboot. The directors are called Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler, it's either Gillette or Gillet, but yeah, it's weird. I've never really reviewed or discussed the Scream movies on my channel, which is odd because I am a big fan of the Scream movies. Well, some of the Scream movies, like 1, 2, and 4 are the sweet spot for me. I'm not really a fan of the third one, and the last one I was kind of meh towards. So I was going into the new Scream movie kind of with low expectations because Neve Campbell wasn't returning for this one, and the last one didn't quite deliver on its promise. For me personally, I know a lot of people did like it, but yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of the previous one. But yeah, I would like to review all the Scream movies on the channel at some point, so it feels weird that I'm starting off with 6. The plot of Scream 6 takes place about 6 to 12 months after the events of Scream 5, with the Carpenter sisters, Sam and Tara, played by Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, going to college with the other 2 survivors from the Woodsboro murders. That was Chad and what's her name? Mindy, and they're played by Mason Gooding and Jasmin Savoy, and collectively they call themselves the Core 4. The first one was high school set, this one sees the characters going off to college, and of course, people start getting stabbed. So in typical Scream fashion, the rest of the film sees the Core 4 along with a selection of beautiful new college friends of theirs trying to avoid being killed by the killer and also trying to figure out who the killer is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sorry, I just realized I forgot to mention this will be a spoiler-free review. Don't worry, I'm not going to ruin anything about who dies or who the killer is. So what did I think of Scream 6 then? I'll say this, I did find it entertaining. Like, I wasn't bored, I had a good enough time watching it. I thought it started very strong. Like the first third of the film, it really had me on the hook. The opening bit of the film really surprised me. Like it threw me a curveball that I did not expect. So yeah, it starts off very well, and yeah, it has some good moments of tension, some very creative deaths. You've probably seen in the trailer that clip of them like crawling across the ladder above the alleyway. That was very suspenseful. Like I was on the edge of my seat for that. But after that, as the film progresses, the movie slowly gets more and more stupid. Like, because this one is set in New York, like the characters have gone to college, there's bits of it which really did push the suspension of disbelief. I mean, for one thing, the cops just never show up on time, do they? They were always just like 5 minutes too late to, the crime scene. But yeah, there's so many scenes in this which involve being surrounded by New Yorkers. Like, New York City is one of the busiest cities in the world, and like, you would think there'd be people everywhere like spotting what's going on, but yeah, it's just like no one is noticing when someone is getting stabbed, in an alleyway or on the train. It's kind of unbelievable that a killer could get away so easily with so many witnesses around. They brought Hayden Panettiere's character back, Kirby from Scream 4. She was kind of a fan favorite of that movie, and I like that she's back, but I'm not sure they justified bringing her back. Also, her character now is 30 in this, and she has a new job. I won't say what the job is because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I had a hard time, believing her in this job role. I was just like, oh, little girl's in Big Mama's shoes today, isn't she? And I'll say this, I did enjoy the sass between Kirby and Gale Weathers, once again played by Courtney Cox. I actually think that Courtney Cox was and is still the scene stealer of this film. I'm glad she's still around, even though Neve Campbell didn't decide to come back for this. Like, Courtney Cox just brings a bitchiness to the movies, which makes them so much more fun. And yeah, she has a very intense scene, like, on the phone with the killer. And yeah, that was probably my favorite scene of the whole movie. Like, Courtney Cox stole the movie in that scene for me. I'll say that the performances of the Core 4, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jasmin Savoy Brown, and Mason Gooding, they were all great. One other positive I do have is I did appreciate all the cheeky references to other horror movies in this. The film is set over Halloween week or whatever in New York, and there's all these New Yorkers dressed up in Halloween attire, and there's references to, the Babadook and Hellraiser and all that, but I really loved the cheeky winks to the cast themselves. Like, there was one girl dressed like Samara Weaving's character, Ready or Not, and there was another girl dressed like Wednesday, who obviously Jenna Ortega is playing in a Netflix show. So yeah, all those cheeky little nudges made me chuckle. But I guess the reason I'm not really gushing over this new Scream movie is that it doesn't feel as smart as some of the other Scream movies, and it does present some, you know, meta commentary about cancel culture and, you know, assassinating one's character. And it's kind of one of those scenes where Mindy gets a monologue about the rules of these new requel franchises and all that. And it's just kind of a rehash of like what she said in the last one. So yeah, it doesn't really feel as fresh. And like I said, as the film progresses, it just gets a bit more and more convoluted. And yeah, the reveal of the killer was a bit of a wah-wah for me. Like, I understand the motives, but again, it's the whole suspension of disbelief, you know, in order to buy it. It's a bit of a stretch. The great thing about the Scream movies is that they are scary slashers, but they're self-aware to the point where you're laughing along with them. But I found myself laughing more at the film rather than with the film. I'm waiting to see them do something interesting with this reboot of the Scream franchise. And it does feel like they are planting the seeds of something potentially interesting with Melissa Barrera's character Sam and her past with her father and all that. But there's been no payoff to it yet. Like, it's teased, it's suggested, but we haven't, you know, been rewarded for our patience yet. And I guess that's just something they're setting up for the inevitable Scream 7, which I will still go see, even though this movie, to me, was good, just not that great. I don't think it's the worst of the Scream movies. That honor goes to Scream 3, but I would put it second from the bottom if I were to rank all the Scream movies. So let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch it again? Yeah, probably. If I was ever doing a Scream marathon, I wouldn't skip it. Like, there is entertainment to be had from it. Like, it did have its, you know, exciting, tense moments. So yeah, even though it doesn't place on the higher end of my Scream rankings, I probably could watch it again. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? If you're a fan of the Scream franchise, there is enough here to enjoy. So yeah, I do recommend it for you guys. If you were kind of underwhelmed by the last film, I would say just, you know, go into it with low expectations, because I wasn't too fond of Scream 5, and Scream 6 honestly was a little bit worse for me. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? I had a moderately good time watching this. I did find it entertaining. Like, it did have some scary moments. I laughed on occasion. But like I said, it started strong. The first third was good, but the last 2/3, it really started to go downhill. So I'm gonna give Scream 6 a score of 4.5 out of 10. But as always, guys, just one bloke's opinion. I would love to hear from you. What did you think of Scream 6? Whatever you think of it, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button for me. And for more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Harefield, and I'll see you next time.